Hi, I'm Sam Rhodes, Director of Blue Coat Display Centre, the craft and design gallery based in the Blue Coat. And I'm really delighted to be in conversation with the local potter, Attila Ola, who joins me from his studio. And hi, Attila.
Hello, Sam.
Great to see you. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Lovely to see you too.
So obviously we have known each other for a few years now, since you graduated from Liverpool Hope. Was that kind of 4 years ago now?
Something like that.
Okay.
4 or 5? Dare I say 5?
and we have an annual prize that we support for the design course at Liverpool Hope. So every year we pick a graduate that we think that work is just kind of like one to watch, or that we think they've achieved, you know, great things during their final year. And you were that graduate from that year. And I guess from then to now, we've continued this working relationship. So maybe tell me what you've kind of been doing since that point, and where you are, literally where you are now.
Okie dokie. So basically that was kind of a really important benchmark back 4 or 5 years ago. Because it provided a platform for me to showcase work for the first time in a professional setting. And it gave me the opportunity to put together a body of work towards an exhibition shown in the Blue Coat Display Centre that I had been working on for over 2 years, really. So it was a lot of sort of contextual research and practical research coming together in that body of work. And that was also a time when I was really focusing on bringing ceramics and ice together, because my departure from ice sculpting was sort of taking shape at that time, but it wasn't clear.
Maybe I should explain. In the window, obviously for a limited amount of time, we had your ceramic vessels, bowls, pretty much beautifully, those beautiful turquoise glazed bowls were suspended in blocks of ice, which we had, you know, obviously for a finite amount of time in the window, and we had an event around it. But that was your kind of 2 roles at that point, wasn't it? As you say, you were working as an ice sculptor to kind of, was it to sort of support your studies, Attila? Was that, or was it just, you know, how did it work?
Well, at that time, I think I was still very much committed to both materials. But over time, ceramics started to take over, and also because of a couple of small injuries, I decided to sort of step away from ice sculpting. I hurt my back a couple of times, and also I just found a lot more I felt a lot more at home when it came to ceramics. I felt an immediate connection with the material, whereas with ice, I worked with it for roughly 7 years. And although I absolutely loved working as part of a team, and I have a great deal of appreciation for the discipline, I never quite got to that point where I thought, okay, this is it for me for life. You know, this is the material that I really want to sink my teeth into. And it's quite the opposite with clay. I almost take it with me into the bed, you know, at night. I still think about it. I'm still problem solving. It's a love-hate relationship.
And then you got that amazing opportunity to show the piece at the Ceramics Biennial in Stoke, didn't you? Which was kind of pretty soon after your graduation, I think.
Yes, that was part of Fresh, which is part of the biennial, an opportunity given to fresh graduates who are working in the ceramic medium. And essentially, I was lucky enough to be involved in the biennial 2 years after I graduated. And again, this was at a time when I was really sort of exploring how two really different mediums could come together, and the sort of visual language that would come about simply by juxtaposing them and putting them into an unusual context.
Yeah, and obviously you've continued to work in clay, but tell us kind of where you are now, where you're talking to us from, and what you do in that space.
So this behind me, although it's difficult to see, a couple of kilns and a spray booth, which are integral part of the magic that happens here. So this is Alta Pottery, which is an ongoing project that started out nearly 3 years ago now. And initially started as a one-man project where I was sort of trying to create a studio for myself. And then I soon realized that actually it made a lot more sense to build up a community, to involve other makers in the studio. And essentially over a relatively short period of time, we've built up a community of a dozen or so makers who are either doing ceramics professionally or semi-professionally. And also we have ongoing evening classes and introductory classes for people who want to work with clay, who want to experience clay for the first time.
And your studios, it's Alta's in Toxteth in Liverpool, just so we should explain to people maybe who are seeking you out.
Yeah, so we are, sorry, we are located in Toxteth in John Archer Hall. So we are really, really close to the city centre. You can see the Anglican Cathedral from the studio, as well as the Metropolitan Cathedral. So amazing views from here, and literally a stone throws away from the epicenter of the city.
And I suppose the ceramic side, the teaching side, has been incredibly popular. I mean, I know in the display centre we're constantly asked by people who are wanting to either learn as beginners how to throw, how to work in clay, or people who have some knowledge, some experience, who are wanting to kind of further that, or just looking for a space and a kiln to work in. And I think you know, I think you've been incredibly successful with that teaching side. And how have you found the kind of balance of sustaining your own ceramic practice alongside facilitating others, I suppose, to kind of, you know, passing on that passion you have for working in clay? Has that, you know, has that been a kind of an easy thing to do when the teaching side has been so successful?
It has been, I'd say the first year was especially difficult because I was building the studio, sort of putting together the equipment, cobbling it together, literally buying things bit by bit, and pouring as much as I could back into the business, not really taking anything out of it. So in that respect, the first year was quite difficult. Also, the first year was all about finding the right people to work alongside, because it really is about harmony in the studio. We've got such an incredibly mellow vibe in the studio. It's really important for me to keep it that way. Yes, I mean, the teaching side of it sort of came fairly naturally. I had an opportunity, again, quite a few years ago now, when I finished my second year at Liverpool Hope University. I had the opportunity to travel to Brazil as part of a group of students alongside a couple of tutors who basically worked with us within a cooperative, either teaching adults or teaching children skills that we had already acquired during our studies. So I had a little bit of experience teaching, and I think I sort of get on with people fairly easily. And then, the rest of it is literally a case of evolution, really. You sort of learn on the job and you tweak the content of what you're doing. And like you said, we've had an incredible success, which I'm really grateful for. And there's a really strong sort of movement going on at the moment. There's a real kind of renaissance going on in terms of pottery and DIY and just making in general. I think it's a really positive. Yeah, it's a real positive change.
Absolutely. And we were lucky enough to visit you in between the kind of the lockdowns, and I'm part of a curatorial research project working with a curator from the Walker Art Gallery, Nicola Scott, and the director of the Williamson Art Gallery in Birkenhead, Colin Simpson. And we were trying to get an idea of what was being made in studios in our locality, so particularly across the region. So we were lucky enough in the summer, I think, to come up to Altar and to have a chat with you more, I guess, about your own work, with a view to you being part of a series of displays that's kind of across our three venues in celebration of the Crafts Council's 50th anniversary year, which is happening this year. Although some of our displays might be a little bit later this year. The Walker Art Gallery display in the Craft and Design Centre galleries has actually been set up, and hopefully by the time this is released, and if all's well and the galleries can reopen to the public, then the series of pieces that you made for that new display will be available for people to see. And I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about those bowls that you made for the Walker.
Okay, so the theme is essentially past, present, future, and obviously when it comes to craft, you really have to show appreciation to the people who have come before you, because with a discipline like pottery, you really have to rely on all the knowledge that's been built up, and that's hopefully evident in the work, because there's a very interesting and very kind of endearing and personal link there for me. The work that I'm exhibiting is a little bit of a wink towards two of the sort of mentors and gurus in a way that I had when I was a fledgling potter. Margaret and David Frith also feature in this exhibition, and the reason why, or part of the reason why I'm also involved in this exhibition, is because Their work is part of the collection at the Walker, and I am one of their ex-students. So there's a sort of aesthetic link, and also a more personal sort of professional link there, going back again quite a few years, probably 7-8 years now, when I first went to Brooke House Pottery and spent a couple of summers there training with David and Margaret.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the aims was to show makers' work across careers, so emerging makers, mid-career, and as you said about the Friths, very established makers. And you know, that lovely cabinet that your bowls are part of, which features Hugh Miller's beautiful furniture and Margaret and David's pieces, as you say, from the collection, and pieces that were borrowed from, well, a lovely tea set, Celadon tea set of Margaret's that was borrowed from the display centre. And then also Halima Cassel, who you know, was really pivotal as a female sculptor, potter, but also she works in lots of different disciplines, and her career was really forged in a studio in the Northwest, although she now lives in Shropshire. You know, people who were part of, as you mentioned, the museum's collection, but also we were really keen to show new work that had been made specifically for those new displays by potters who and makers who hadn't had an opportunity to show on that kind of platform before. And it's really exciting that there's going to be contemporary craft, not just in that gallery, but actually in temporary exhibitions across the Walker. So I'm really excited for mid-May, when everybody gets to go in and hopefully see the work firsthand. And also I should say that the idea was that the display centre would partner the displays at the Walker, which are static displays, temporary displays. Obviously the work's not for sale there, but what we were really keen to show is that these makers featured, like yourself, are living and working and making in the region. And you know, and we'll have work available here for sale. So I hope you're going to be showing with us a little later in the year, maybe autumn time, late summer, where we'll have an in the window display for a month. And I'm hoping you'll make some lovely new pieces that people will be able to come and see and handle and buy, hopefully. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, so am I. In fact, I actually prepared a piece to show you, because I've committed to making some pieces, like you said, for the end of the summer. And this is one of them.
Oh, it's lovely.
How visible it might be on the camera.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. But yeah.
Essentially, the installation, which is on show at the Walker, it consists of 6 bowls, which are identical in size, but they have different silhouettes. And the title is called The Seventh. It's a kind of an elusive title, which is kind of trying to allude to the bowl that is not there. It's the one that's on its way, in a sense, and the one that keeps me on my toes and keeps me coming back to the kiln and to the clay.
That's a lovely concept. It's kind of like something that you're striving for and working towards, and yeah, I think it's a lovely idea.
Ah, thank you.
And we'll be encouraging you to do that in the with the window work too. So maybe we'll, you know, people will get to come down and see the work late summer here if they keep an eye on our website and social media. We'll kind of announce that as we get the dates firmed up. But in the meantime, I would really encourage people to try and visit the Walker as soon as it's safe and possible to do that, and to see your work as part of the Past, Present, Future display alongside all the other brilliantly talented regional makers that that those showcases are really you know, promoting. And also to look, when are you thinking you might be able to reopen the pottery in terms of Altar, Attila? Is that something that you're kind of working towards at the moment?
Yes, like the Walker, we can reopen to the public on the 17th of May. So put that date into your diaries and come and see the show.
Well, I think this little film is available to watch from the Light Night. So that's the 21st of May. So I guess you could be up and running by then, fingers crossed. So so people can just look. I mean, what we'll do is we'll maybe put the information about Altar on our website, and also obviously about you and your work, and link to the Walker so people can find you. And yeah, in the meantime, we have a few pieces here that that we've got on display kind of now, that are really beautiful. In the meantime, people can come and have a look at your work. So thank you so much for the chat, Attila.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
And
I really appreciate it.
It's great to see you in situ.
And you, Sam.
And thanks for the preview of the bowl. We'll look forward to a few more of those for the autumn.
They're on their way.
Thanks again. Speak to you soon.
Take care.